All right, Rayneil, welcome
Thank you.
to a new episode on Think Twice. I've briefly met you through TTD's, what's it called? TTD's meditation session.
Yeah.
And like I said, you really captured my attention just hearing you speak on the concept of meditation.
Right.
And so I decided, let me have you over and let me get to know you more as a person.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah,
Really appreciate it.
It's a pleasure because I feel like there's a depth to you that I think we should explore. So essentially, his name is Rayneil. I'll let him do a little bit further more on his introductions, and then I'll get into the questions that I have for you.
Sure thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my name is Idiomin Rayneil McKinney. I typically go by Rayneil. Born and raised in the Bahamas, and I came to Canada in 2016 to pursue naval architecture. Since graduated in 2022, and since then I've been kind of working in the field as a naval architect, working on Canadian military ships.
Yeah.
But in my spare time, all throughout university, I actually explored what it means to be an artist, and I started painting. And over the past decade, I became a really skilled painter and kind of became known for it as well. So that's been a very nice passion of mine.
Yeah.
And then from there, also exploring entrepreneurship and what that means, and being able to develop as a man, as a person because of it. So that's just a little bit about myself right now.
Perfect. No, that's solid. That's really basically the gist that I got as well from the bio that you sent me. And I've got some questions for him on my phone here.
Sounds good.
Based off the bio that he sent me. So in the bio, he described his mom and dad. So let's start with his mom. He described her as a very kind-hearted woman, devoted Christian, and then you described your father as well as a man of high integrity and resilience.
Yeah.
So my question with that is, how would you currently describe your relationship with your parents at this time, as the time has passed as well over the years?
Both has been really good. Both my parents have been very pivotal impacts of my life. My mom, she's a go-getter. She is very kind-hearted, like I said.
Yeah.
So teaching me how to love people, how to be caring, and how to kind of be soft and gentle with people as well. She taught me that. And throughout kind of growing up in the Christian household as well as a Rastafarian household, because my dad is a Rastafarian, was kind of torn in terms of religion, but it helped me to want to actually learn who I am, learn what religion is, and learn where do I line up in between. Yeah.
And then in terms of dad, you a man of really high integrity and resilience.
So my dad is a no bullshit man. I can't curse. He stands up for what he believes in. As a Rastafarian, that's one of the, I guess, rare type of religions to believe in. So he grew up with a lot of, I guess, animosity, a lot of, I wouldn't say disrespect, but I would want to say just people not agreeing with what he believes in.
Okay.
And despite that, despite the difference in opinions and what's not, he still stuck to with his belief, and he kept with it. And he's always taught his sons to be leaders, to be man of their words, and to follow what they believe in to be right.
Okay. Yeah. Following up on that question, you in the bio you mentioned that you have 6 siblings. Yeah. So where do you fall in that family line? Like, what number are you?
I think I'm the 5th.
5th. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're like the second youngest.
Well, it's seven of us total.
Okay.
So I'm the 5th. I have 1 older brother.
Okay.
I have 3 older sisters.
Wow.
And I have 2 younger brothers.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what was that like growing up with that dynamic?
Pretty interesting, but somehow it worked for us. So 3 of my siblings are half siblings.
Okay.
So I have two of my older sisters are half siblings, and one of my younger brothers is a half brother.
Okay.
But somehow we still grew up together. So even though they had a different mom, my younger brother, who's my half brother, he still slept at my house. We still interacted, we still played wrestling, played basketball. Yeah, so it was a very interesting dynamic, because you wouldn't see that to be as common, but we got along pretty well. We all have a WhatsApp family chat that we speak in and crack jokes with, and
that's good.
So it's pretty good.
That's good. So we're just going to retract just a little bit on the concept of religion that you mentioned about you being torn between beliefs growing up. So do you mind explaining what those religious beliefs were and why the uncertainty? Sure. I know you've touched on the Rastafarian nature, and then you touched on the Christian nature. Now, how did that impact you yourself?
So when growing up, so my dad is Rastafarian,
Yeah.
which means that a lot of the things in the Christian Bible that they don't really agree with, for example, Jesus being their Lord and Savior, that's something that they don't agree with.
Okay.
Number of different ways of life don't quite agree with as well. So like eating pork, eating different types of meat,
Yeah.
don't agree with, so they don't stand for it.
Okay.
Whereas Christian is different, they gotta eat certain things, different way of life as well.
Yeah.
And who they pray to and how they pray and how they interact with their Lord and Savior is different. So just having my dad tell me do this one thing and believe in this one thing, and my mom telling me something else, it's very different. For example, and it gets into the smaller things as well. So Rastafarians, they believe in growing out their hair.
Okay.
So not cutting their hair, letting hair grow naturally. Whereas Christians, they don't really care about it, so they don't mind cutting their son's hair and what's not.
Yeah.
So when my mom would take me to get my hair cut as a young boy, it would anger my dad, So I kind of grew up with that split thing going on. So it just kind of led me to figure out why do people, have different religions, and then what goes on in these different religions, and then what aligns with what I think is right or wrong, or what I want to believe in. Yeah.
Okay, beautiful. Growing up as well, I saw that in the bio you were exposed to a lot of different types of sports, right? And I just want to mention, so he was exposed to wrestling, track and field, and basketball. So I want to know, how did that exposure impact you throughout your life?
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. So wrestling, I never participated in wrestling.
Okay.
Actually, it was more of I love to watch the WWE.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I love to watch with my brothers and playing the game.
Yeah.
So that impacted me in terms of just wanting to be strong, wanting to be able to lift people up, and wanting to be able to show that I can do things with my strength.
Yeah.
But basketball, I actively played in. Basketball, my older brother, he was a very good basketball player. So I kind of grew up watching him, and then I started putting the ball inside my hand and playing around. And eventually started playing for my high school basketball team. And I just kept on in love with it. Right. Eventually played some varsity basketball at the Marine Institute.
Okay.
So quite enjoyed that. Track and field. So the high school that I went to is basically the best track and field high school in the Bahamas.
Okay.
We produce great runners. We have some Olympic athletes that came from my high school now as well.
Okay. Yeah.
So because they saw I was athletic, they put me in everything. So I ran the 800, ran the 400, ran the 200 as well. But I really specialized in throwing the discus and the javelin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So building up kind of overall upper body strength as well as speed and endurance.
Oh, that's interesting, man.
Yeah.
Especially the fact about the school producing some Olympians. No, that's nice.
Yeah, it's very impressive school.
Yeah. So let's fast forward to the life-changing event that you had. So moving from Bahamas to Canada, right? And then eventually attending the university at BC Kamloops, right? What was that like? I want to know what that was like, and did you have any expectations and assumptions before coming to Canada?
It was a very hard process just getting over, because I initially wanted to leave the Bahamas to come to Canada in 2015, but wasn't able to get through. I don't think I got the scholarship that I was looking for and what's not. So I eventually had to do 1 year at the local university in the Bahamas. It's very hard, and only about 4% of Bahamian students actually have the opportunity to go abroad and to be able to afford it. Yeah. So luckily I was able to get a scholarship, and that allowed me to pay the initial tuitions to get off to school. Because otherwise, if I didn't get a scholarship, I would have been still in the Bahamas. So number of my friends, because my high school was a pretty good high school, some of my other friends was able to go off to university abroad, and some of them wasn't. For me, I was the only one that came to BC from my university, and it was just a very life-changing experience, because I've never went to Canada. This is my first time coming here. I barely traveled outside of the Bahamas, to be honest. I went to the US just like a handful of times, and Jamaica for like 6 hours, and that was it. So that shift to Canada was pretty huge for me, because I never really traveled outside of the Bahamas in that capacity. So this is my first time properly living outside of the Bahamas into this cold climate.
Yeah.
So it was a huge shift for me.
Yeah.
And I essentially left everybody home. All of my family, none of my friends was still back home in the Bahamas.
Yeah.
So it became very isolating as well. Although I still have friends and family that love me and was talking to me and what's not. It was an isolating experience. And then stuck with intense engineering courses and stuff.
Yeah.
You don't have that much time to actually talk to people and
Right.
maintain
Right.
some relationships. So a lot of relationships I actually unfortunately lost. They just died down. And that was the first time I really traveled outside of Canada, outside of the Bahamas.
Yeah, yeah. Now you're in Canada, right? And you're in school for pre-engineering, and you noted that during that time too, your curiosity for art peaked, while at the same time you started to develop an interest in self-development.
Yeah.
So I want to know what journey was like. So engineering, art, self-development, like what led to the sequence of interest?
So I'd say the first thing was developing Rayneil, who I am, trying to figure out who the hell is this guy in the mirror.
Yeah.
That was the biggest question for me. And I found the first set of content that I started to consume that really opened my eyes to figuring out who I am. It was by Eric Thomas. He's a motivational speaker. And one of the main topics was who you are and why you do what you do.
Yeah.
So upon that exploration of myself, I had already got an interest in art. And I realized that art was a nice pathway for me to kind of explore myself and express myself in a way that is unique to me.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So I started to just paint and figure out different things that I like to paint. So I realized that nature was one thing that was really drawn to me because how I grew up, because of my dad being a Rasta and really appreciating nature and being one with nature.
Yeah.
I gravitated towards painting nature. So I painted a lot of ocean sceneries, a lot of landscapes, a lot of trees.
Yeah.
And that still is my go-to in terms of painting and expressing myself because I feel like I'm so close to nature and I am one with nature. Now, in terms of personal development, that went hand in hand with entrepreneurship. And I've also learned that being entrepreneur is the fastest way to grow as a person.
Okay.
Yeah. Because you go through so much trials and tribulations.
Right.
You take so much rejections. You have to build the resilience to keep on going.
100%.
You also have to build people skills and understand how people work, how they function, their psychology as well. So me wanting to become an entrepreneur led me to being a better people person, being more kind, being more generous, being more giving. It also led me to understand what it is to be truly motivated, to be ambitious and competitive and want to be the best. And I like that aspect of myself because now I'm not trying to be better than anybody else. I'm just trying to be better than the past version of me.
Right.
And entrepreneurship has kind of led me down that path.
That path, yeah. I hear that a lot from people from experience too. They say essentially entrepreneurship is basically a self-discovery journey.
Yeah.
Because essentially you don't know anything about yourself until you face trials, tribulations, failures, rejections, and then you're like, okay, this is actually real. Yeah.
And there's a lot of failures.
It is.
There's a lot of failures. I'll tell you that.
I hear that a lot. Yeah. So at this point, everything that we just discussed took place around BC, right? And then you make a move to Newfoundland, where you graduated from the Marine Institute with a diploma of technology in natural architecture. Now, me personally, that's my first time of hearing
naval
such
architecture.
Such a diploma. So, what does that constitute of in terms of what do you learn in that space?
Sure.
Yeah.
Before I answer that, I do want to double back to Kamloops, BC.
Okay. Yeah.
Because this is where my passion for art really exploded.
Okay.
In 2018, so not 2018, 2016, I moved to Kamloops.
Okay.
2017, I was actually commissioned, and I'm like 20 years old right now. I'm still young.
Yeah.
I was commissioned to paint a war mural inside the university.
Wow.
And they paid this 21-year-old $5,000
Wow.
to paint a war mural on their wall.
Yeah, that's big.
And I've only been painting for like 2 years, 3 years at this point.
No, that's big.
So
that's
that was
big.
huge for me.
Yes. Yeah.
And the only reason, and it's funny because when they offered me $5,000, that's not what I asked for.
Yeah.
I asked for $7,000. Like the balls of this guy to actually ask for this.
Yeah.
So this was a part of my personal development journey as well, because I was trying to figure out. I was reading this book called The Magic of Thinking Big, and believing in yourself. And for me, I knew my art was worth a decent amount, but I also didn't believe it was worth like $7,000, you know. But one of my roommates was like, you know what, ask for more. Yeah, try it out. See what they say. The worst they're gonna say is no. So I was like, okay. I asked for $7,500 to paint this world mural. Yeah, it's like, we can't do that, but we can do $5,000. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll take that. I'll take that 5K. And then after that, in that same university, I went to another building. So it's they call it IB, the International Building. So it's still a part of the university, but they dealt with international students. So I went to them and I was like, hey, this department paid me $5,000 to paint this wall mural. Would you like a wall mural inside this building as well? And I was like, yeah, how much did they pay you? 5,000? I'm like, yeah. And I was like, and they was like, okay, cool. We're happy to have you do that as well. So that's another 5K to this 21-year-old to paint these wall murals. And I'm like, yeah, there's something here.
There's something here. Yeah, 100%.
Believing in yourself, thinking big, and actually asking for more. Huge things that changed my life. So from there, I had the confidence to do whatever I wanted to do, in a sense.
Yeah, that speaks for itself.
I actually painted 3 wall murals. The first one was the $5,000 one. And then the second one was I actually paid one. I painted one for $300. This was just like a giveaway, just to get my name out there. And then the $5,000 came again, and it was just insane.
That was insane.
It was insane. Yeah, like I've never seen that much amount of money as a young 21-year-old come from the Bahamas ever.
Especially, it's just like you're being rewarded for your talent.
Exactly.
Too. Yeah, it's not like you went to school for art. Right. It's just something that you explored, that you had interest in, and then you saw, okay, there is something here. That's impressive, bro. Well done, man.
So that helped me to develop a concept called borrowed belief.
Borrowed belief.
Borrowed belief.
Okay.
Because sometimes you don't believe that you can do things yourself, but other people actually believe that you can do it. So I said to myself, maybe I can do this, but this person believes that I can, so I'm going to try anyways. And that led me to do some great things.
Yeah, no, that is impressive.
Appreciate it.